Please.
Alderman Pellenier,
Here.
Parker,
Here.
Ship, Geenan,
Here.
Clark, absent, Mayberry,
Here.
Spargettis,
Present.
Mayor Tomes.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. All right. Actually, before we start, real quick, I want to say Happy Veterans Day. So thank you, of anybody in the audience, if you've served, and anybody else out there for not only served, but are serving. So, thank you very much, and Happy Veterans Day. All right. Item number 5.
Minutes of the October 22nd meeting and the October 25th special meeting.
Move to approve the minutes as printed.
Second. Moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 6.
Minutes of the executive session of October 22nd, 2018.
Move to approve the executive session minutes.
Second. Moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We have update Rock Island. Got a couple items here. Holiday refuge collection. Refuge, recycling, and yard waste collection schedule will be on the normal schedule during the week of Veterans Day holiday. The drop-off center located at Millennium Waste 1360 Knoxville Road in Milan will be open on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 12. The City of Rock Island offices will be open. I guess that's today. 29th Annual Quad City Christmas Arts and Crafts on November 23rd and 24th and 25th, 2018. The QCCA Expo Center will hold their annual Christmas Arts and Craft Fair. There will be 200 exhibitors showing off their handcrafted products. Friday and Saturday, the fair will be open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., with Sunday open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. A new unwrapped toy gets a free admission to the event, with tickets being $5 apiece. So please bring your toys to be given out. For more information, please call 309-647-0400. The 29th Annual Thanksgiving Dinner, the Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center, is delighted to invite Quad City citizens to its Thanksgiving holiday dinner on Sunday, November 18th, 2018. Come out and enjoy a free hot holiday meal and mingle with family and friends from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the King Center, located 630 9th Street in Rock Island. Delivery dinners to residential facilities will be done on Saturday, November 17th. Please call 309-732-2999 for more information, or sign up to help volunteer your volunteer efforts. Thank you. Item number 8.
Presentation of the Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, Tier 2 Reaccreditation.
Good evening. Would like to go ahead and introduce Brian Fengel. He's the Chief of Police for the Bartonville Police Department. He's also President of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police, and he's going to give a short presentation on the accreditation process.
Thank you, Chief. Mayor, City Council, just on the behalf of the Illinois Chiefs Association, we would like to certify that your police department has had the best practices for law enforcement. So I'm here tonight to recertify them and in appreciation with a certificate. So one thing I can tell you, this is not an easy process to go through, and you truly ought to be proud of your police department has accomplished this, and for best practices and policies and procedures. So, would you like to come up, Mayor?
Come on in. Yep.
Okay.
One, two, three. Oh, good smile, Chief.
At 4.
Dylan. Second Ward.
Got it, boss.
What competition going on? All right. Item number 9.
Presentation of the financial management report for the third quarter of 2018.
Okay, so tonight we're presenting the third quarter report since we're just past that September 30th benchmark, which means that at this point our target is 75%. So as we review the financial report, that's what we're looking at, is that 75%. So some things that I'll point out tonight is, one, that general fund revenues are at 66% of the revenue budget, and the expenditures reflect 70%. And as I look at our financial statements, I always look to see where we were last year at this point, and that's right about where we were. In general, any of the funds which receive property tax revenues, such as the general fund, library, TIF, and even parks, would be at or near 75% of revenues if they depend on the property tax, because the third installment from the county was due September 7th, and our fourth installment is due November 7th. Revenues into the TIPS are primarily made up of property tax increment, and they're at 77%. TIF expenditures much lower at 17%. Many of the rebate agreements and expenditures are sent out after all of the property taxes have been verified and paid. Debt service revenues and expenditures are less than 25%, so you can see that at the bottom row there. Revenues are at 22%, expenditures are at 19%. Our debt service payments are June 1st and December 1st, December 1st being the largest chunk, and those are the portions that are related to principal. So we'll see an update on that when we get to the December 31st unaudited financial statements. I'm going to turn the page to the enterprise funds, and with the enterprise funds, the one I wanted to point out is Waterworks. So that's that first row. Water is at 55% of revenue budget and only 39% of expenditure, so that's related just to the timing of the water plant project, both the expenditures going out and then the reimbursements of our expenditures from the IEPA. For the government-wide financial statements, so looking at that bottom row total city position, so including all of our funds, the city is currently reporting 67% of budgeted revenues and then 58% of budgeted expenditures, again right on track from where we've been in prior years. At this point, fiscal year expenditures do exceed revenues, so the second to last column there by $2.1 million. And then our total cash available is $26.4 million. We'll turn the page to a presentation of just the general fund expenditures by department, mayor and city council, all the way down to public works. And so we were at 70% overall through the third quarter. So the general fund amended budget's at $35.7 million, and we've spent $25.1 million at this time. The next few pages are our state and local tax revenue analysis. It reports 9 key taxes, providing history and a graphical representation of our current year activity, along with a 5-year average for each. sorry, on this first page here, we'll talk about income tax and replacement tax. The income tax for the third quarter continues to be tracking well against the $3.7 million budget. And we talked last quarter about the Department of Revenue's press release that distributions are running higher than expected, possibly due to corporate actions taken as a result of the new tax law that went into place this year. And in general, we always have to keep in mind that distributions are higher at the first half of the calendar year because that's when most of us pay our income taxes. We do continually watch this revenue. Last year's budget was $4.1 million, so you can see the impact of changes that have taken place. Last year, the state imposed a 10% reduction in the municipal portion of income tax. And this year it's only 5%, but do keep in mind that we had only budgeted that 10% through June 30th and had expected to return to full allocation, and that did not happen. Replacement tax revenue is exceeding budget at the moment, but this is, I would call it a volatile tax. And the state has announced continued reductions. And this is a tax that's not distributed monthly. So while this analysis just kind of smooths it out over the year, it's not necessarily how it flows. So last year the budget amount was $2.6 million. You can see this year we budgeted $2.3. I estimate that we will make budget this year, which is good news. But next year's budget does incorporate IML's projections, which is a further 2.5% reduction, but less than this year's reduction, so that's good. This next page is our sales tax and our local option sales tax, and they're both holding their own. The state does now assess an administrative fee on that bottom section, the local option sales tax. So when they initially passed it last July, it was 2%. They did reduce it to 1.5%, and we have seen that, so that's good. But still a 1.5% reduction, and so the fee for the first 9 months was $28,000 in revenue that we would previously have gotten, and now we don't. But the good news is both of these are tracking right on budget. Use tax continues to be a good thing, and where did I lose my place? I don't know. But use tax continues to exceed budget, as does municipal utility tax, which is not something I normally have been saying. But in looking at the 5-year average, the 2018 use tax budget is up. So you can see we budgeted $980,000 this year, and the 5-year average is $842,000. Why is that going up? One, the state has been more aggressive in its collections and more proactive, and the effect, if any, of new collections as a result of the online sales tax will not be seen until after October, but we are hearing it's not going to make a big impact on our revenues. But we did incorporate that in next year's budget.
Sports gambling? Online
Can't quite hear you.
Online gambling?
Not legal yet.
Not legal yet? Oh.
Not in Illinois. Okay.
Yeah, it's a different one, but the online internet purchases. A lot of retailers were already submitting, so it's hard to estimate what the impact was. And I think they're estimating $1.60 per capita. This is a per capita income, so that would relate to approximately $60,000 to $70,000 for us. Municipal utility tax continues to trend down. So you can see we budgeted $1.8 million. The 5-year average is actually 1.9, but we are happy that we are tracking on this year's reduced budget, so that's great. Telecom is an excise tax is the one tax that we don't really have good news on. It continues to decline as well and still tracking below our lowered budget. The 2018 budget was lower than the prior year, and our 2019 budget will be lower yet. And then overall, food and beverage tax continues to increase slowly over time, and so keep spending your money and eating and drinking here in Rock Island. The last of the 9 taxes is our gaming tax, and the budget this year was $4.4 million, and it looks like it's been tracking right on that all year, and that's about what we received the prior year as well. The bottom table represents the total of all those 9 taxes that we just reviewed. While it does show that it would appear that we're ahead of budget by $500,000, this year's distributions compared to last year at this time is about $100,000 more. So I would expect that we'll make budget, if not just slightly above this year on these 9 taxes. The next 2 reports, just kind of our standard reports, our capital and major project expenditure status update through September 30th. So these are our projects and programs that we've funded from various sources. I'm going to just switch to the next page here, and if you could just scroll down to the bottom, Tim, and kind of see our totals. And I guess there's one more page. Oops, I'll let you go. One more. So total budgeted projects, $32.9 million. So we're right on track. At 69% of those projects have either been paid or purchase orders committed to those projects. The last report of this presentation is our monthly investment totals. And so this first page, the graph on page 13 shows the distribution of the city's cash and investments over a 15-month period. And then the last page of the report shows our interest rate for each category. And then you can see the general rise in interest rates over this time period, along with the names of the banks or agencies that hold our deposits. Any questions for me on the third quarter financial management report? Thank you.
Thank you. I guess you might still be up. Item number 10.
Yes.
Calendar year 2019 budget presentation.
Should have brought water. All right. So I present to you this evening an overview of the 2019 budget. In this overview, we'll cover a few subjects, and we do have a lot to cover. After reviewing the goals, the current total budgeted revenues and expenditures for all the city funds will be reviewed. Then we'll focus on the general fund for a bit. We will touch on the enterprise funds and the library, and then we will review the city's property tax history and the proposed levy. So first, budget goals. The first directive of the budget process was to prepare balanced budgets in all of the city's funds. A balanced budget generally means that revenues match expenditures, but there are certainly exceptions, which would include the status of a fund balance. The city does have a total of 44 funds to balance. Some of the city's funds have challenges, and it was management's goal to keep financial impacts to a minimum, and at the same time to provide the services that citizens and businesses come to expect and deserve to receive. Also, it was our goal to keep fiscal responsibility in mind in developing a budget. We have weathered some fiscal challenges, and it is important to preserve the current position and to take steps to improve our financial future. So this pie chart shows our expenditures by fund for all of the city's funds, and it totals $113,533,577, which is down from the 2018 proposed budget of $117 million, and 17's budget was actually $133 million. This chart captures total spending across 9 departments, 44 active funds. The general fund represents the largest portion of the city's overall budget at $36.5 million, followed by the utility funds, water, sewer, storm, and refuse at $25.2 million. Economic development would be the next biggest chunk there at $7.8 million, and that includes the 7 active TIF districts that the city operates, along with our CDBG funds. That all other category, that light blue one, equals $12.6 million and includes funds like the Marina, Martin Luther King funds, our gaming funds, and our various internal service funds. This slice is just another way of looking at that same 113 million. So it is still our total citywide expenditures, but breaks it down in categories rather than function. The largest slice of the pie chart is personnel costs, which make up 45% of total expenditures at 50.9 million, which is up from 47.7 million last year. This is the result of natural increase in salaries with cost of living adjustments, increases in our health insurance, along with increases in pension costs. Services is the next largest category at 24.1 million. That's actually down $500,000 from last year's budget. And then debt service and transfers are each about 9%, which is the exact same as last year. So looking at revenues citywide, total budgeted revenue is $105,777,536, which is compared to last year's of $115 million. Charges for services represents the largest category after other at $25 million and accounts for 24% of revenue, so about a quarter. The majority of charges for services is in the enterprise funds, known as business type, such as the utility funds and parks. A large part of that other relates to internal service funds and our fiduciary funds activity, and fiduciary funds are our pension funds. Property taxes are $18.4 million and represent not only the city's levy, but also the portion that comes into the city's TIF districts. You will notice that total revenue is less than expenses. The difference would be funded by current reserves. Before I turn to the next slide, notice the pie labeled local/state taxes at $23 million, which is 22% of total revenues, as we are going to dive into some details about that revenue source. So there's that 23 million. So this is the detail that make up that 23% of total revenue, and that's up from last year's 19%. Smaller portion, so bigger percentage. The largest portion of CY19 is gaming, same as last year, followed by sales and use. A portion of the income tax, about 5%, continues to be diverted by the state. Gas tax at the bottom there makes up the smallest portion at almost 0.6 million. The general fund budget proposes a 2-penny increase in the gas tax. So budget challenges. So since we are talking state and local tax, this is a good time to move on to the general fund budget. The last few years, balancing the general fund has been a challenge, especially with flat revenues. At the beginning of this budget season, one of the guidelines requested of all of our directors was to maintain overall budgeted expenditures. This percentage was derived from projected general fund revenues and naturally increasing costs, mostly those associated with personnel costs. At the time of guidelines, we also knew what the actuarially determined police and fire pension costs would be. And departments do struggle with this request, and concerns were raised about impacting service. This table at the bottom of the page does represent some of the state challenges that have imposed budget challenges on the city and reflects some of the changes that have taken place over the last 3 years. So I mentioned that one budget challenge is rising personnel costs. Over 70% of overall operating costs relate to personnel expenses, seeing as we are in the service of providing, in the business of providing service. The majority of employees are subject to collective bargaining contracts with negotiated pay increases. In addition, healthcare costs continue to increase at a rate that's higher than CPI. Good news is that for CY19, IMRF's contribution rate decreased. First time in quite a while, so we were at 11.9% previously, and for 2019 the employer's rate will be 8.99%. But police and fire pension costs do continue to increase and will continue to do so under our current funding model as we point towards 90% funding by the year 2040. For this time period shown, these costs have risen $2.7 million. So $2.7 million is the difference between the proposed 2018 employer contribution and the contribution from 2011. We have to keep in mind that police and fire pensions are state mandated and were earned by our current and former members of the police and fire departments as part of their compensation to provide for the safety and well-being of the citizens of Rock Island. And we do stand by the obligation to fund these pensions, but at the same time, we have to be cognizant of the budgetary impacts. So proposed budget solutions for our 2019 budget incorporate 4 areas. Some solutions are lasting, but others are temporary in nature. Solutions include expenditure reductions, both cuts and delays, revenue increases, some new revenues, and use of fund balances or reserves. Expenditure reductions included delay in filling positions and consideration for elimination, depending on service impacts, continued delay in vehicle purchases, and reduced street maintenance. And then while general fund departments did their best to reduce their budgets before finishing them in August, further cuts have been made since then. Revenue increases include the possibility of ambulance fees, new ambulance fees. Staff are reviewing services that are provided at no charge. I mentioned the gas tax change, going from, in 2010, we were at 2 cents. Right now we're at 3 cents and going to 5 cents per gallon, so an increase of 2 pennies per gallon. And a possible property tax increase that we will review in more detail later in the presentation. Several new revenues are being evaluated, and while not included in the budget as of yet, since they are not established, the plan is to bring them forward for council consideration in the future. The final portion of the solution is use of reserves. Unfortunately, the city's financial policies call for 90-day reserves, which in recent years we have been able to maintain. Best practice calls for no less than 60 days, however, and so we are considering lowering that threshold. So total proposed general fund revenues for Fund 101 and the special funds that make up the general fund are $34.8 million, which is down $455,000 or 1.29% from the 2018 adopted budget. And expenditures for the same funds are $36.6 million, which is up 3.92% overall, or $1.4 million. So let's jump into some detail about the general fund expenditures. And so again, general fund expenditures total $36,562,870. And both the percentage for each department of the total general fund budget is shown, plus the total budget in rounded millions. Police constitutes the largest share at 41%, $14.8 million. Fire at 28% or $10.4 million, and Public Works makes up 16% of the budget, which is $5.7 million. So thus, 85% of general fund spending is on the core services of providing public safety and Public Works. Looking at the general fund expenditures by category, 78% of the general fund budget is for personnel expenses. The next largest category is services, which is 17% of the budget. So let's look at that $28.4 million in a little detail here. The largest category of personnel expenditures is salary, followed by pension expense. Pension expense includes IMRF, police pension, fire pension, and the employer's share of Medicare and FICA taxes. Pension expense represents 28% of total personnel costs and translates to 50 cents for each salary dollar. The third largest component is health insurance at $2.7 million. These three portions make up 94% of personnel expenditures. So our personnel costs by department, $22.6 million of that $28.4 million are related to public safety, which includes police and fire. This is 79% of that total. And then the next largest is Public Works at 8%, and then community and economic development, which is 4.5%. finance, information technology, general administration, which includes the mayor and council, and human resources make up the rest. So moving away from general fund, we'll look at enterprise fund for public works for a moment here. So the next 3 slides will focus on the public works enterprise funds and then parks and library, which are both supported by property taxes, and then we will circle back to the review of property taxes. So recall that there are different types of funds in government fund accounting. Enterprise funds are also known as business type funds, meaning that their accounting is more like what you would see in a business. They are generally self-supporting, and charges for services make up the majority of their revenues. Their expenses are recognized on a full accrual basis and include depreciation of assets over their useful lives. So here on this slide, wastewater is worth pointing out as it is the largest of our enterprise funds, with expenditures in 2019 planned at $13.1 million. Debt service makes up the majority at almost $5 million. This is for low interest IEPA loans. Their charges for services, so wastewater's charges for services make up 97% of their operating revenues. Charges for services is sometimes referred to as user fees. The user fees should be set at a level to fund the future debt service, plus cover operating costs such as personnel, services, supplies, and maintain future infrastructure projects. The Park and Recreation Fund is also an enterprise fund and is made up of several departments such as the golf courses, Whitewater Junction, and RIFAC. In addition to user fees, this fund also receives support from property taxes. Of the fund's $5.4 million in revenues, property taxes make up 35%. Staff have made great strides in reducing their expenses over the past 3 years, which you will hear more about in their upcoming budget review session. Of the $6.1 million of expenditures, personnel makes up 37% of the Parks and Recreation budget. One more fund to look at, library. So the library fund is a governmental fund and is therefore supported by property taxes and very limited user fees. Proposed expenditures for 2019 total $2,581,447, and revenues total $2,579,587. Of the fund's $2.6 million in revenues, the proposed property tax is $2.1 million, or 81%. So 81% of the library is supported by property taxes. Personnel expenses make up a large portion of their budget. So, property tax allocations. So property taxes are indeed an important revenue source for the city, and since we have referred to property taxes that are budgeted, I wanted to point out a couple things. First, total property tax revenue related to the levy is proposed at $12,745,041, compared to last year's $12,384,000, an increase of $358,000. 54% of this proposed levy is allocated to supporting police and fire pensions. So that's that blue portion of the pie.
And when you say those are negotiated, that means it's done at a state level, some of those requirements for police and fire?
This expense is related to the employer's contribution. So their benefits are stated in this Article 3 and Article 4 of the Illinois compiled statutes. And I should say their retirement benefits in particular. This table breaks down last year's levy. So the first column there, extended levy 2018, and this year's proposed levy by component of the tax levy. General fund operations, general fund plus police plus fire would receive 67% of the property tax levy. So that's that $8.5 million. The library and parks and recreation show an increase of 2%. And it is important to point out that the library has asked for a 4.99% increase. Last year, these two funds, Library and Parks, received a 1.83% increase, and the year before that, 1.48%. It is proposed to maintain the public benefits portion of the levy, so don't increase that. Included in this table is the city's property valuation, which is part of the formula to calculate a taxing body's property tax rate. This past August, the county notified the city that the tentative valuation is $477,900,946, and this was only a 0.46% increase from the last certified valuation. It is important to note that there are times when the final valuation is different than the estimate. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. Tax rate by collection year. So this historical schedule shows the city's tax rate back to the mid-1980s. In the early 1990s, the rate reached a high point of 4.1249. So the highest point of that graph was a rate of 4.1. Before the 2017 levy, so last December's levy, the tax rate had remained very level for about a decade, after it had reached a point in 2005 when the rate was 2.573. The levy to support CY 2019 that is proposed estimates a tax rate of 2.6669. This is our EAV history back to 2003. The city's EAV decreased in 2012 and 2013, so the data points are the points with the green boxes. For 2018, the increase is less than last year's tentative valuation, as we said, and while the growth has been slow the last couple of years, I do want to point out that this trend line is positive. So in general, a positive slope, which is good for the city and citizens of Rock Island. So there are 6 portions of our property tax levy. The last column depicts the proposed 2018 levy at $12.75 million. Fire and police pension costs are provided through the actuary and will continue to grow. You can see from the bottom portion of the graph, so the green at the bottom, that the general fund had shrunk considerably over the years. In 2011, that general fund portion was $3.4 million. The 2018 proposed levy allocates $1.7 million, so about half. It's harder to see on this graph, but the 2011 through 2014 columns, both the library and parks levy amount was flat. And so starting in 2015, we inched it up slightly every year. Property taxes certainly gain a lot of attention by citizens, and sometimes we remind them that the city is just one portion of most property tax bills. There are other layers of governments, also known as overlapping tax districts, including the county, townships, the school district, airport, the college, and transit authority. Each taxing district extends their own levy. This table shows a 6-year history of the breakdown of a tax bill and shows that for the 2017 levy that was payable in 2018, so the tax bills that we're paying now, the city of Rock Island's portion of the bill was 24.9%. So you would add the city and the library's portions together. In 2012, so the first column to the right, the city's portion was 24.5%. So we're keeping an even portion through those 5 years. The largest portion of our tax bills currently is the school district at 51.2%. So what does this mean for a homeowner in the city of Rock Island? With a city tax rate of 2.6669, the city's portion of the taxes on a $100,000 home equals $729. This table breaks down what that $729 by portion of the city's tax levy. The largest portion goes to fire and police pension, then the library and parks funds. For comparison purposes, the 2005 levy is shown when the rate was at the high point of 2.573. It is interesting to see how the ratio of each portion has changed over that 13-year period. So in conclusion, it is my honor to present to you the 2019 budget. A mix of solutions will be used to present balanced budgets, increased revenues, staff cuts, reduced spending, use of resources in order to continue to maintain a high level of service. Some of these actions are difficult, but through them, if supported, allows the city to maintain appropriate reserves. I do want to thank city staff and directors for their countless hours spent on the budget. Budgeting in uncertain times can be difficult for employee morale, but this is a good time to remember that we do have adequate reserves and our bond rating is at an investment grade. This budget is presented with future financial strength in mind and has a blend of changes. We will be covering the budget in more detail later this month. Subsequently, the budget will be presented for approval a month from now on December 10th, so that it is adopted prior to the beginning of the budget year, which begins January 1st. Questions?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very good. Everybody's been working hard at it. All right. We now have item number 11.
Proclamation declaring November 12th through 16th, 2018 as Apprenticeship Week.
I believe someone's here. Shannon here to accept this. I'll read that.
Shannon wasn't able to make it. My name's Carl.
Okay, that's fine. So we have it. It reads as such here: whereas registered apprenticeship programs have played a significant role in our nation's history over the last 80 years, when Congress implemented the National Apprenticeship Act to ensure apprenticeship programs meet state and federal standards to be certified, and whereas construction is one of the fastest growing industries in the state and demand for skilled workers continues to be in high demand in the city of Rock Island and surrounding areas. Whereas apprenticeship programs are training programs that offer on-the-job training and certified classroom instructions tailored to the needs of the employer, and whereas registered apprenticeships programs help strengthen our economy and help businesses find skilled workers, and now therefore be it resolved that I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of the City of Rock Island, do hereby proclaim the week of November 12th through the 18th as Apprenticeship Week in the City of Rock Island.
Very good, Mayor.
Come on in.
I'd like to thank the City of Rock Island for recognizing apprenticeships. I did the apprenticeship in the local 150 operating engineers. After completing that, I'd done 5 years with them, and then from there I am now a business agent with them, so I help monitor the jobs in the area. I can tell you right now, without apprenticeships, we wouldn't have the skilled workmanship that we have as far as getting people out to work. Obviously, everybody sees the new I-74 bridge going on that has all skilled trades, men and women on it. So we appreciate everything you guys have done as far as giving this proclamation.
Thank you. If you don't mind, for the record, your full name?
Carl Drapeau.
Drapeau?
K-A-R-L-D-R-A-P-E-A-U-X.
So Carl, I'm assuming there's a bunch of high school kids watching tonight at 7:30 at home, but for those of them looking for a career, if you go through the apprentice program, become a journeyman with Local 150, what kind of a career salary are you looking at?
So career-wise, you can go from anywhere from running a skid steer to running cranes. I started out running excavators in the Marine Corps. I got out and joined this apprenticeship to learn more. I've run excavators, dozers, skid steers, cranes. You're looking at a salary around between $50,000 and $80,000, depending on how you want to apply yourself, plus full benefits and a pension.
And I'm going to say there's apprenticeships, of course, not only local 150 engineers and operators, but 125 or local 25 plumbers and pipe fitters and electricians, IBW, and there's a number of places that have,
Yes, you have
offered.
local 125, our local 25 fitters, local 309 laborers,
Yep.
local 145 electricians, and there are also a few others, as the mayor was speaking of, that are always great to get in. If you need any more information, you can contact the Tri-City Building Trades, which is oversees and helps with the apprenticeships and organizing the trades unions here in the Quad Cities.
Yeah, Jerry Lack would be a great contact there. And I've been up to, I know 150's training center up there, and of course the plumbers and pipe fitters here, and they have great facilities, so.
Well, we
Job
appreciate
well
those
done.
comments.
Yes.
Thanks, Carl.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If I could, are you going to say? If I could, Mayor, I'd like to say I was a recipient of an apprenticeship through John Deere. I served a 10,000-hour apprenticeship, and everybody's not made for college, okay? So these other company shops, as they call them, also offer apprenticeships, so they need to look into that. And the main thing is math. You have to start taking math classes, preferably in junior high, all the way through, because you're measuring stuff and you have to get it correct. So I believe this is the first time, Randy, that we've ever had a proclamation for apprentices, is it? It's the first time I can remember it.
And we
Yeah.
worked with Blackhawk to bring in the pre-apprentice program, so we have the math and taken care of. I just was at a graduation last week where 10 people graduated, and that would be perfect to apply now for apprenticeships.
Yeah. I did my 10,000 hours through Blackhawk College.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item number 12.
Proclamation declaring November 24th, 2018 as Small Business Saturday.
I believe, Eric, I'm here to accept this, but and I don't know, Beth or whoever. But so we'll get through this one. Whereas the City of Rock Island celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 30.2 million small businesses in the United States, which represents 99.7% of all businesses with employees in the United States and are responsible for 65.9% of the net new jobs created from 2000 to 2017. And whereas small businesses employ 47.5% of the employees in the private sector in the United States, whereas 90% of consumers in the United States say Small Business Saturdays has been a positive impact on their community, and whereas 89% of consumers who are aware of Small Business Saturday say the day encourages them to shop small all year long, whereas 73% of consumers who reportedly shop small at independently owned retailers and restaurants on Small Business Saturday did so with friends and family. And whereas the most reported reason for consumers aware of the day to shop and dine at small, independently owned businesses was to support their community, 64%, and whereas the City of Rock Island supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mike Tomes, Mayor of the City of Rock Island, do hereby proclaim November 24th, 2018 be recognized as Small Business Saturday and urge the residents of our community and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants of Small Business Saturday and throughout the year.
Thank you.
And it's Eric Reeder on behalf of the Development Association of Rock Island. Would definitely like to highly recommend that everyone shops local every day of the year, but Small Business Saturday is definitely one of those highly regarded days in the retail world, as well as supporting local entrepreneurship. As the mayor had mentioned there, it's what makes our community unique, as well as we were talking about budgets there, 3 to 4 times more money is retained within our community. So through partnerships with the Development Association of Rock Island Growth and the City of Rock Island, we've partnered together on a retail business incubator, the Shops on 2nd, 1700 2nd Avenue. We have 2 new tenants there, Brick and Motor Boutique, as well as Wild Cherry Spoon Co., who will be having their ribbon cutting on Small Business Saturday. We encourage you to get down to the Shops on 2nd. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, item 13.
Mayor Tomes will close the regular meeting and open a public hearing to consider a request from Valentin Trujillo for a special use permit to renovate the existing structure at 2627 7th Avenue for use as an office for Mr. Trujillo's roofing and siding contractor's business.
All right, here close the regular meeting and open up public hearing. Chandler, are you going to start this out?
Okay, at the September 24th City Council meeting, Mr. Trujillo had originally asked to have his property rezoned, and it was denied and said you can apply for a special use permit. So that's really why we're here tonight, is to have the actual public hearing in regards to this. We are looking at a parcel that is currently vacant on 7th Avenue, and we are looking at having a chain link fence with privacy slats, closing one of the access points, but making 2 access points within. In the package, you will see signage as well. There will be some outdoor storage and trucks parked for the actual business itself. So this is the actual public hearing.
Okay. Would Mr. Trujillo like to speak? Yes. Please come up. And I think there's a sign-up sheet up there. If you could, nope, right here, back here on the podium. I don't know if there is or not on this podium.
Oh, is it?
Oh, there isn't? Nothing up there? Okay.
All right, we have his name right there.
We got the name here. Okay, that's fine.
Good night. Thanks.
My mistake.
Right, my name is Valentin Trujillo. I run a small business in construction, and I'm willing to set up my office here in Rock Island since I live here. And I was asking for rezone the area, but was denied. But a special permit will work, so we can get it going. I don't know if you have any questions for me regarding the business or the usage of this facility.
Anybody have any questions at this point?
I do.
Okay.
First off, thank you for wanting to invest in Rock Island. I know that this has been a little bit of a process for you, but that 7th Avenue is my ward, where I have the privilege of representing, and it has, your proposal for what you want to do there has generated a lot of interest from the residents that live around there. So it is, I am behooved to make sure that we thoroughly discuss it. So first off, if I understand correctly, you already have purchased this site. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and from whoever you purchased from, didn't say that it was zoned a certain way that was going to prohibit you from having that type of business there?
This is the thing. Let me start from the very beginning.
Sure.
I had some issues with, I had an enclosed trailer where I had my garage machine. And I get an issue with the city putting warnings because it's supposed to be parked on the street, right? So I asked this guy, Mr. Frizz, if I can park it in a house I used to own in Rock Island too. And he said, no, because it's not commercial.
Yeah.
Then I misunderstood him, and I go over there and bought this place, which is commercial. But I never knew it has to be some B3 or B4 in order to do that. So I went over there and buy it. And I found out when I was trying to put my fence and everything, I found out I wasn't allowed to. So I came to Mr. Mayor, I spoke to the secretary, and explained her my situation. And I don't have that tons of money to buy a different lot to put my business. That's why I was willing to get permission so I can get my business going.
Did you use a realtor to buy the lot?
I'm trying to. I actually
When you bought the lot, did you use a realtor?
no.
Okay.
I went directly to
Yeah,
them,
okay.
to the old owner.
No problem. So, as I understand, pretty much you're just going to have an office for your construction company
Yes.
and some vehicles parking on site, no materials or anything like
No
that?
materials. It's only for like this coming winter. As you know, there's no roofing at all. So I need a place where to put my equipment. Once the season starts, there won't be any trucks in there because everyone will be busy.
Right.
It's just for the winter, basically. No materials or nothing else but my equipment.
What type of equipment other than diesel trucks, dump trucks,
It's
pickup
only
trucks?
one diesel truck I'm planning on get rid of. I'm planning on buy pull behind trailers to dump the garbage.
Okay.
Those are the ones that want to be there. And a couple of my enclosed trailers, which I have my garden machine in there, pretty much.
Okay, so trailers and vehicles, basically?
Yes.
How many people do you employ?
I'm subcontract around 20 people.
So you have to understand that it's a residential area. There's Save a Lot right behind you, pretty much.
Yes.
But then the Greenbush neighborhood is right around you. I go to every single Greenbush neighborhood meeting. They are lovely people that live in Greenbush, and we're very conscious of wanting to keep 7th Avenue the sort of residential feeling that it has. There is some concern about putting, chain link fence. I think it's a 6-foot chain link fence is the proposal, with the privacy slats. But that, having equipment parked there and a 6-foot chain link fence really can alter the appearance. I mean, right now it's vacant, so it's not looking real well as it is. But we want to make sure that we can maintain the feeling of it being sort of a residential part of town.
I don't know if you have a better idea. I'm trying to keep the public safe because I don't want them crossing by and have an accident or whatever. That's what I was thinking on putting a small fence there to avoid them to walking by.
Right.
Yeah, I'm welcome for ideas. If you have ideas, don't have to be
So up on 17th Avenue, we have the new CVS and the new, now brand-new open Dunkin' Donuts, right?
Yeah, I
Everybody's
see.
so excited about Dunkin' Donuts.
I see that.
Right behind 18th Avenue, where those are, is 17th Avenue, and that is a residential part of town as well. And they have wooden privacy fences. It has a different appearance when it's wooden.
We can do wooden. That doesn't matter for me.
I think if you would be okay with modifying it to a wooden privacy
We can
fence,
do a wooden fence.
that would have
That's okay for
that
me.
would comfort people in having more of a residential look, I think.
Yeah, I said about chain fencing because this other guy told me gotta be able to see, so that's why I told on the chain fence. But we can put wood. That doesn't.
Is there an issue with a wooden fence?
I don't think materials matter, just the height
Yeah.
and the setback.
Yeah.
But is this a residential neighborhood or is this zoned business?
It's currently zoned residential business, right?
As you can see on the map there, it is currently zoned B1.
Okay.
And so it is on 7th, as Alderman Parker was correct. So it is kind of the business area of the residential area. You're going to have commercial nodes within. So it does fit so far as the ability for the special use permit. But it does boil down to, are there other aesthetic things that can be done to make it more, I don't say acceptable, blend in a little bit better so it's not as harsh of a difference between the housing.
Right.
Well, is it more acceptable to have a wooden fence or a proposed landscape area? Is that where the same, you looking at the map where it says?
Yeah, well, if I understand correctly, it's trees and bushes or just trees?
Correct. There's a 5-foot landscaping area, which will have some low-level shrubs
Right.
Within, which is actually a pretty nice little landscaping zone there, a strip to kind of break up the fence.
And then behind the shrubs is going to be the fence.
Correct.
So there'll be both landscaping and a fence.
Yes, sir.
Good plan.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's great. We've been talking about having a diversity of businesses and owners, and you're employing people on them, and you're out of Rock Island, and if you're willing to work with the city, we're willing to work with you, to see what residents are happy with. But we have neighborhoods that have had the vitality of neighborhoods have been the businesses that employ people that live in them.
right. Yeah. I think if you're okay with a wooden fence, I think that sounds like a good deal to me.
All right. Well, I'm good with that. Any more questions?
Any questions with it? We'll have to ask some other people if there's anybody else in the audience here. If there's anybody who'd like to speak also in favor of this, is there anybody who'd like to speak in favor of this project? Is there anybody that would like to oppose this, speak against this project? Anybody out there? Okay, any other questions in this group from them? Otherwise, I'll close this meeting.
Do we send out letters to the neighboring properties? Do we just inform them of this meeting when it's a special use permit? All right, so obviously nobody's here that received the letter. And then I also put on my Alderman Facebook page a poll, and on Nextdoor.com a poll as well about this, because I've received a number of comments, and so the majority of people was in favor of it. So,
okay, all right. I'd like to close the public hearing and reopen the council meeting. We're ready for a motion. If
move to point of order first. If I want to amend the fence in the memo, do I have to include that in the motion, or will that be worked out?
I believe that would be worked out when we come forward with the special use permit.
Gotcha. All righty, move to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Geenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 14.
A special ordinance granting a request to provide water service outside the city limits at 2930 47th Avenue, Rock Island, and to connect to the city's water supply.
Motion to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Geenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 15.
Claims. A, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $65,700 to Langman Construction Incorporated, Rock Island, for payment number 4 for the 2017-2018 Catch Basin and Manhole Program, projects 2412 and 1866, for services provided from August 18, 2018 through October 11, 2018. Item B, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $260,788.18 to Centennial Contractors of the Quad Cities Incorporated for payment number 2 and final for the CDBG-funded sidewalk repair, Project 2807, for services provided from September 23, 2018 through October 25, 2018. And item C, report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $442,655.10 to Civil Constructors Incorporated, East Moline, Illinois, for payment number 13 for the water filtration facility, Project 2760, for services provided from October 1st, 2018 to October 25th, 2018.
Move to accept the reports and authorize payment as recommended for claim items A, B, and C.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor. On B, Centennial Contractors of the Quad Cities, what city are they in? What zip code are they in? There is no Quad
They're
City
in-
zip code.
They're in Moline.
We need to add that to it, Moline.
Okay.
With that added to it, Moline, I'm okay with it.
Well, the company's name is Centennial Contractors of the Quad Cities. That's their business name.
Right, but they have to have an address, so
Right.
you say their
Yeah.
address is Moline, okay?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yep.
Yep. Okay. Been moved, was there a second?
Yes.
Okay.
Due to the nature of my employment, I will be recusing myself from this vote.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker recused. Geenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carried, 4-0, 1 recuse.
All right, D.
Okay, item D, report from the Information Technology Department regarding payment in the amount of $19,500 to ESRI of Redlands, California for the annual GIS software maintenance for the year from January 15th, 2019 through January 14th, 2020. Item E, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $11,656.01 to David Morrison of Rock Island, Illinois, for legal services rendered from September 28, 2018 through October 23, 2018. And item F, report from the Human Resources Department regarding payment in the amount of $17,181.24 to Lori Klugger, Rock Island, Illinois, for general liability claim.
Move to accept the reports and authorize payments as recommended for claims D, E, and F.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Geenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 16.
Claims for the weeks of October 19th through October 25th in the amount of $545,802.97, October 26th through November 1st in the amount of $367,624.75, and November 2nd through November 8th in the amount of $436,884.97, and payroll for the weeks of October 8th through October 21st in the amount of $1,531,028.68, and for the weeks of October 22nd through November 4th in the amount of $1,510,521.43.
Move to allow the claims in the payroll.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 17.
Report from the Information Technology Department regarding the purchase of 300 licensed copies of Microsoft Office 2019 from CDWG of Chicago, Illinois, in the amount of $94,965.
Motion to approve the purchase is recommended.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 18.
Report from the Fire Department regarding the HVAC replacement at Station 4, recommending the bid be awarded to Crawford Company of Rock Island, Illinois, in the amount of $18,325, which is $14,370 net cost after rebates.
Motion to approve the request is recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the purchase agreement.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right over there. Item 19.
Report from the Fire Department regarding bids for the purchase of the new self-contained breathing apparatus, recommending the City Council approve the allocation of local matching funds, 10% of the federal contribution, in the amount of $23,554 towards the purchase of new self-contained breathing apparatus.
Move to approve the allocation as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute a purchase agreement with the vendor once an SCBA manufacturer is selected.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Geenan.
Aye.
Mayberry.
Aye.
Spargettis.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I have a question concerning number 18. Why was that, and Dave, our attorney, probably can answer it better, why was that not a roll call vote?
I sure just.
I think when we're talking, as my understanding, we're talking about approving the authorization of signing a contract. At that point, that we're not paying that bill at the moment he's executing the contract.
Just a
it'll
bid.
come forward. Yeah, it's a bid, but it'll come forward as a bill, and they'll be approved.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I wanted to be sure. Thank you. Sure.
Okay. Item 20.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding bids for the repairs and modifications to the Mill Street wastewater treatment plant grit collector system, recommending the bid be awarded to FabTech Wastewater Solutions, LLC of O'Fallon, Missouri, in the amount of $316,000.
Move to award the bid as recommended and authorize the purchase.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
What was so hard about getting a bidder for this project, Larry? This is what, like the third time it was put out for bid?
Nobody wants to work.
Yeah, unfortunately, third time was a charm on this one. It's such a specialized piece of equipment, there's just not a lot of vendors.
Well, thank you very much. I thought I would just say that. I noticed that it was out for rebid like 3 times. So.
Sure, no problem.
All right, roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Geenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 21.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the amendment modifying the current demolition contract by adding 2 additional properties, 2935 14th Avenue and 820 21st Street, to their current contract, recommending the bid be awarded to H. Koopman Trucking in the amount of $58,650.
Move to approve the amendment as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, we do need to know the name of the city that Koopman.
Sorry, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So,
Moline.
Is it Moline? Thanks.
thank you.
Why was it?
He's got the bid.
So why was it added on instead of just rebid those 2? Maybe get more interest from other smaller contractors.
We already had a contract with Koopman, and 2 properties fell off of that contract, so they were already in process of demolition on the others. And so one of them fell off because of a private demo, and the other one because we signed an agreement.
Gotcha. Okay.
State law says if you have to modify the contract over 50% of the original purchase or something like that, then you need to put it out for rebid. This wasn't half of that, do you know? What was the original price amount?
It was like $252,000. We went up by $5,000.
Yeah, so well within our state law, right. I will be also recusing myself from this vote due to the nature of my employment. Oh, and also I wanted to say, great about one of the properties being rehabilitated. I was happy to see that. It's something that I harp on about a lot, but glad that the owner was able to reach an agreement, and hopefully we'll be able to execute the agreement, and we were able to keep one of our properties alive and providing tax revenue for the city. So thank you.
What is more important is keeping the neighbors happy in the same area where the current owner hasn't done a very nice job.
2 birds with 1 stone.
Hopefully.
Yes. Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker recused. Geenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0, 1 recused.
Item 22.
Report from the Police Department regarding a 1-year contract extension through December 31st, 2019 for the dry cleaning contract with Burke Cleaners Incorporated at the quoted increased price.
Move to approve the contract extension as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion?
City that Burke's located in.
It's not in Rock Island. They left Rock
Yeah,
Island.
they love Rock Island. That's what I know. Does anybody know where they are?
Is it at
Moline.
Moline now? Okay.
I have a question for the chief.
Didn't we sanitary cleaners?
I don't remember.
It's a long hike.
Hope we get our local hiring preference ordinance in. Go to
I
sanitary.
noticed on the schedule there were several year-end contracts that are being extended. This was the only one that had an increase written into it, a 2% increase. And although it's not a lot of money, it made me wonder whether or not Burke increased the last time they renewed the contract.
I believe they did, yes.
Do they have a history of increasing each time they renew it?
No, it hasn't been every time, but I believe they did last time and this time.
And
They're
I seem to remember last time, I don't know.
Still very competitive and lower than what we've seen with other bidders.
Right. When was the last time we
This
let
will
it
be,
out for bid?
This will be the third year of this contract, so it's a one-year contract with 2 one-year options to extend. So this will be the final year.
Thank you.
And they were also in Rock Island before, right?
Yes.
They just left Rock Island.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 23.
Report from the Police Department regarding a one-year contract extension through December 31st, 2019 for the general usage rental vehicles contract with Highland Toyota at prices quoted in the existing contract.
Move to approve the contract extension as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion?
City of Moline should be added.
Yes, Eddie Moline. Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 24.
Report from the Police Department regarding a one-year contract extension through December 31st, 2019 for the towing contract with Quad City Towing Incorporated at prices quoted in the existing contract.
Move to approve the contract extension as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. They're in Rock Island.
In Rock. My ward.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 25.
Report from the Police Department regarding a one-year contract extension through December 31st, 2019 for the Uniforms and Equipment Part D Badges and Bars contract with Ray O'Haron Incorporated at prices quoted in the existing contract.
Move to approve the contract extension as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion?
Yeah, where are they located at? Anybody know? Danville?
Bill?
Thank you.
These are all the first time we're extending these contracts, right? We usually just do one extension.
Well, so for Public Works on the big projects, that's the unofficial policy. Some of these, like the one Chief was just talking about up here, has 2 options already in it. So when you approved the first contract, you already approved the option for 2 extensions. So it kind of depends what you've approved.
Okay. I was just making sure this wasn't endless extension.
All right. Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 26.
Report from the Police Department regarding a one-year contract extension through December 31st, 2019 for the Uniforms and Equipments Part A, B, and C contract with Uniform Den Incorporated, which would be Moline, at prices quoted in the existing contract.
Move to approve the contract extension as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 27.
Report from the Finance Department regarding a budget adjustment increasing calendar year 2018 CDBG expenditures by $1,262,331.17, which are funded by revolving loan funds 581 and 584 in the same amount.
Motion to approve the budget adjustments as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 28.
Report from the Finance Department regarding the reallocation of calendar year 2018 CIP funds in the amount of $21,718 for the use by the fire department to cover the replacement of the HVAC unit at Fire Station Number 4.
Move to approve the funding allocation as recommended.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Geenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 29.
Report from the General Administration Department recommending an ordinance amending the boundaries previously set on the enterprise zone.
Motion to consider, suspend the rules and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Geenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 30.
Report from the General Administration Department recommending an ordinance amending the diversity of the enterprise zone in accordance with the new requirement from the state of Illinois.
Motion to consider, suspend the rules and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion?
Yeah, I got a question for Chandler or someone.
It's me.
Section 8 in this talks about hiring a local advocate.
So the advocate, every zone has an administrator. The administrator is going to work out of Moline, and that will be the advocate also.
Okay.
We'll handle our own issues here with our own ordinance that'll be forthcoming. But for the enterprise zone countywide, it would be the same as the zone administrator.
Language says that it's creating this position. It's not creating a new position. It's a current staff
It's
member taking it.
it's designating a person to be that advocate.
Because it didn't have
They
a
were the
name.
previous zone administrator over there, so they've got the staff and they understand it.
So even though we did all the work to get the database going, of creating the DBE contractors and all the other work that's required to do with this, Moline gets to take the take the advocate, huh? Okay.
Well, again,
Just for the enterprise zone.
when someone is working in Rock Island, even if they're in enterprise zone, they're going to work with us, so we'll be doing that.
I assume that they're going to take advantage of what Augustana is creating right now.
I mentioned it to them that we were gathering all that information, and I'll provide that to them. But obviously, we'll have it
For a
for
fee.
all our businesses.
Give it to them for a fee.
I have one
Okay.
quick question.
Yes, sir.
If I can,
Yes.
for Randy. The last sentence of the memo says the ordinance is complementary to the diversity study the city is working on with Augustana College. Do we have a projected date when that will be done?
And so they're starting on it in 2 weeks, and it'll be the winter and spring classes, so they would expect to have something done in May of
Thank you, sir.
2019.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Geenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 31.
Report from the General Administration Department recommending restricting Class A, B, and C liquor licenses from selling alcohol in single-serving containers in the downtown area, 15th to 24th Streets, 1st to 6th Avenues.
Move to approve the request as recommended and authorize the city attorney to draft an ordinance.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion?
How many businesses will this affect? Do we know?
Currently, there is only one business that is serving that type of container. So it's basically the licenses that are there are prepackaged. So a business that would affect it would be a grocery store or convenience store, anyone selling prepackaged product.
They are here, and I said that they could speak to the group if they wish, so.
All right, well, thank you. My name is Nishan Singh. That's spelled Nishansingh. Good evening, Honorable Council. It's an honor to be speaking in front of you today. I'm here on behalf of my parents who operate the 2nd Avenue Market. So passing this ordinance will have a huge financial impact on our business. My parents started this business a little less than 2 years ago, and they've put in a lot of financial and time investment and savings into this business. Their first year in business was a financial struggle. We struggled to increase our customer base, resulting in poor sales. So the initial business plan was to have food and grocery in the store, but due to poor customer turnout, we had to throw most of it away. But now that business is starting to pick up, we are planning to bring those items back by next summer. But things like single-serve alcohol containers have helped our business tremendously. I personally feel that banning single-serve containers will not solve the problem. We see more things like candy wrappers or, potato chip bags on the street. It also doesn't help that there's a bus stop right across the street, so people accumulate there. So this is an issue of more of, I feel like, human behavior. So I respectfully ask this council to reconsider the recommendation. We will gladly work with the city of Rock Island to come up or aid in any alternative solution that you might have. We support the safety of the city and want to be a positive contributor to the cause. So, and Rock Island is obviously the home of our business, so we want to stay here. Thank you.
Do you have any thoughts of recommendations of what you'd want to do?
Short answer to that would be no, but I think that is a discussion that we do need to have. But on our part, my parents have been in this industry for 21 years, and they operate with great integrity, where they don't tolerate any nuisance or any any bad things that happen at the business.
Mm-hmm. I work downtown at the safety building, and I come over there a lot to see you guys for snacks in between breaks, and I never see any issues. And, we have our bars open later than anyone else, and that collects a little bit of revenue. So extra hours of revenue for businesses, and you're telling us selling the single-serve alcohol,
Correct.
which is like walking into a bar and getting a pint of beer,
right,
is something that's keeping your business afloat.
Correct.
And is there anything else in downtown area that's providing besides the single-serve alcohol stuff that you're providing in your store?
No, not that we're aware of. No.
So in order to have you at the store, you need to sell the alcohol.
Correct. That is a huge part of our income. So
sure. The liquor, by the way, your liquor license is for a grocery store liquor license, not a convenience store. There is a difference in licenses. Mm-hmm. So you currently, if you're a convenience store, you've got the wrong license. But
well, I think, so again, just like Mr. Trujillo, we appreciate your investment in Rock Island and we want to support our businesses. However, we also have a responsibility to your neighbors around you. And I have received nothing but complaints all summer long about public intoxication and loitering in that near vicinity. Me, myself, I have personally called the police on people drinking out of a brown bag on your front business stoop right there. Yeah. So this argument of we are, we maintain, we don't keep, we don't allow any nonsense. I, an alderman of the city of Rock Island, have called 911 on somebody sitting in front of your business drinking. So I don't buy that.
I know. I'm sorry you had to do that, but I think going forward we will make a conscious effort that nobody is in that situation. So, we can assure you of that.
When has city staff approached you and asked you to do something more about policing your property?
I don't think so. No.
Have they offered to say like kind of a training of like this is when it's appropriate to call us or hear what we can help you with, or if you have someone loitering, or is there a bench that needs to be moved?
No.
Is that not included in having a liquor license? Is training of that nature not required to possess a liquor license?
Different than a bar training.
Okay.
But the city has approached and talked to your father. Last week, I believe, we sat and talked and everything else. So
okay.
The city has talked to the family about the business and the future of it and everything else, and the single serve and everything else.
Right. And sorry to interrupt you, but
I just wanted to make it sound. You sound like the city has not talked to anybody, and we have.
Yeah, to that point, like as the business evolves, yes, we will be moving away from all that to more focus on grocery and hot food. So we just need a little bit more time.
Mm-hmm. And what are your neighbors supposed to do in the meantime?
Like I said, we'll make a conscious effort to make sure nobody is standing there and make sure that we're operating in the most lawful way.
Mm-hmm.
So may I ask, which product is it? The city of Rock Island, in all of its wisdom, in my disgust, has eliminated the single-serve liquor. They've eliminated the 40-ounce bottle of beer. What's left for you to sell anyway? Single-serve. What is it?
6-packs, 12-packs.
Like a single can of beer?
Yeah.
Is that what they're talking about? Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's more, I guess the issue here is probably the cheaper single cans. So.
Okay.
$1.
Tall boys.
I'd like to actually have the chief come up. And,
No,
for-
they can't have,
gonna ask
they
for the
can't
chief
have,
to come
but
up
they
also.
can't have a 40, I know.
Can't get drunk
Okay.
off of single can of beer.
All right.
Oh, you
Here
guys
comes
can
the
talk
chief.
too. Let's
Here,
like
we'll
to have the
get a
chief.
definition.
I thought, here.
So the police department receives a number of calls related to possession of alcohol in a public right-of-way. A lot of that during routine business hours, early afternoon hours. So I went back and pulled the number of citations that we've issued. In 2017, we issued a total of 35 possession of alcohol in public right-of-way tickets, 23 of which were in the CBD. Central Business District. In 2018, this was a report of last week, there's been 89 tickets issued, and 79 of those were in the Central Business District. We know through our experience that a vast number of the offenders are repeat offenders. They're frequenting the establishment in the downtown for single serve. And then we get a lot of nuisance complaints that follow that. Urinating in public, aggressive panhandling comes with it. Members of the police department have met with the ownership. We've talked about the problem in the past, and it continues to persist. So what I've seen or what I've heard so far is there is no plan for moving forward to address this on the behalf of the establishment that I've heard tonight. But it's a significant drain on resources and a significant increase in the number of responses that we've had down the Central Business District.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, Chief, you say these are repeat offenders, a lot of them. What's the cost to them for getting a citation, and do they pay them?
They do not.
They don't. That's
And
what
I can tell you of the 89 tickets that we've issued in 2018, 9 of them have been paid.
Generally, what happens is they end up in the Friday afternoon every other week court. It's a civil penalty. You're assigned a fine, and most of those folks don't have jobs and or income to pay. I think I've seen maybe a couple paid through the
One offender has been cited 12 different times, another one 9 times, another one 5 times, and there's other ones that are multiple repeat offenders as well.
All from this one institution.
Well, I can't absolutely attribute them all to this establishment, and I'm not claiming that, but there are a significant number of complaints that result from this business that we're responding to. We've seen it on the downtown cameras. People will walk in, they'll purchase alcohol from the establishment, come right out, sit on the plaza, and open up the alcohol and begin drinking. And it'll, where there's one, there will be 5, and it increases, and we have corresponding problems with it.
It's the only one downtown that sells the singles. And so unless they're buying it someplace else and finding transportation down here, it's the logic one at this point.
So the problem to me sounds like these individuals that are doing this, and the understanding I have, our police can't really arrest them because the county won't take them, right? For something that minor.
Correct. It's a civil penalty.
Yeah,
It's a civil
and these
penalty
people know
only.
the law, some of them, better than our city attorney sitting here. But that seems to be the problem. To me, these people, they're selling it to them in some cases. But, we've had the panhandling. Women have called in and have said how these people intimidate them and try to shake them down for money and all that.
Correct.
We need to do something with them. And I'm not saying not do something to the business also, but we cannot allow all these, as I consider them, varmints to run around downtown Rock Island. And there's more and more of them coming to the city because they tell each other where to go and what to do.
Right. Not all the panhandling are drinking or buying it. So we don't want to associate it all together.
Oh, no.
There are some of both, don't get me wrong. I believe that, but not all of the panhandling can be.
Well, some of them are doing drugs too, other than alcohol.
That's what I'm just saying, is we don't want to, it's not fair to them to say all of them are associated with it.
Oh, no.
Yes.
But during the summer, when we have these festivals, they are down there like roaches all over people and scaring people away from the city of Rock Island because they are in the parking lots, as we know. Some of them have lived up in there. We've got a big problem with them, not necessarily the businesses, but what do we do about it?
Would you ever consider doing a larger, 4-packs or whatever, 5, or 6, or, once again, you still sell it, but is there any option of different sizing?
I mean, yeah, there is, but it's more who's going to buy it, right? Majority of our customers do come in for the single cans, so it'll hurt us.
This point is not a favorable option.
Correct.
I have a question, if I might.
Yes.
I noticed the report was from the city manager, and the recommendation, the general administration recommends approval of the restrictions that were cited. So I'm wondering if either the city manager or anybody else from general administration has any further comments. This was not from the police department, apparently. Or maybe they were part of the consultation, I don't know.
As Alderman Parker said, and he's in a group that we've been meeting with, it's based on complaints mainly that Alderman Parker has received from the businesses. Mayor's received a number too. I personally have not received many, but they typically go to the elected officials. So the mayor and the alderman for the area have received a number of complaints. We've met with some of the local downtown businesses and some of the other organizations, and this was something everyone mentioned, so I brought it forward so the council could discuss it.
Every single time I've met with a neighboring business, this has been cited.
But it's not illegal for these men to do it. This family
have
to do
anyone
it. It's
from
the behavior of the people buying the product.
Have anyone from the local surrounding businesses or organizations that they're referring to, have they come and talked to you guys?
No.
Have they shared their concerns with you?
No.
Have they offered solutions of how we could fix the problem?
No, sir.
Do they patron your place?
No.
Some of them do? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
So I take it that the incentive is to remove the single-serve items, alcoholic beverages, and then that would be less of an incentive for some of these people who are purchasing it downtown to come there to do that. They would go somewhere else. Is that correct?
Yeah, we don't worry.
Theoretically.
And by this is a recommendation to write an ordinance. This is not a automatic change.
Okay.
This is recommending that sort of so that the city attorney can take a look at making a change and bring it back to this organization, the council.
There are several businesses right on that block where you can walk into and buy a beer. Several that you can go in there and buy a beer. But these guys do not go to any of the other businesses and buy beer. Why? Because those business owners maintain the price. They maintain their property. They maintain a level of standard, right? There's no, the other bars, they don't put up with that. Again, I myself had to call the cops as riding by on a bicycle with my daughter because some guy sitting on their porch. He's not maintaining his property.
The issue is this: it was not opened up as a liquor store. This was not designed to be a liquor store. This was originally designed to be a grocery store.
But our remedy doesn't fix that problem.
Restaurants were designed just to serve food, but we've heard from restaurant owners having video gaming is helping them survive to continue to serve restaurant food as well. Like that's the way that they can keep their business open too.
Mm-hmm. And I agree, but the issue is that if they can survive, only way they can survive is selling alcohol at the deal. I guess I have a concern about it.
Sure.
Under the pretense of a grocery store or a convenience store.
Okay.
If they want to open a bar or be a liquor store, then that's what you got to apply for and everything else. I mean, just like anybody else.
Do they have a liquor license now?
They have a liquor license, but it's the type of license designed for a grocery store like Hy-Vee. That's the type they have.
Which is separate
from a
convenience store.
Which is different from a convenience store, which is different from a bar or a restaurant bar. Those are all different categories. And
is the liquor commissioner saying that they're out of compliance? Is that a different answer, different question?
I would say, my personal opinion, they're out of compliance because they're a convenience store, not a grocery store. They do not have the basics of a grocery store like a grocery store would have. They're a convenience store. If you walk in there, people would view it as a convenience store.
What establishment can sell single-serve alcohol?
Convenience store and grocery store.
So these others, Dylan, you're talking about, can they buy liquor or beer or whatever and walk out with it, or do they have to consume it right there on the spot?
I got to keep it there.
Okay.
That's a difference. Now, you could go up to Hy-Vee and buy a single can, and they could do that up there. Or they could go to another convenience store in the town and buy a single one and walk out with it.
You can go to 7th Street, you can go to Riverside Smoke Shop.
But because they're a grocery store,
That's where the license is out of compliance, in my opinion. But that's not what we're here for today to discuss, is the which type of liquor store license they have. It's a different issue. Today is whether single serve or not in the downtown area.
got it.
Okay? And it's I feel it's a contributing factor to some of the situations we had. Not a total, but a contributing factor.
When the majority of when several business owners say, can you do something about this? I'm going to do something about it.
That's your JOB. Yeah. Dave, could you add anything to this before we vote?
Well, I guess the only thing, as the mayor was saying, it would be a vote to authorize our office to try to put something together to come back for your final approval. So, for instance, if we were to make some sort of proposal or recommendation and you thought, hey, could we tweak it this way or tweak it that way, it would be just like any other ordinance that we'd be bringing before you for your consideration. So this would not be the final product.
Okay. Would they be notified before we come back?
Yes.
Okay. You okay with that? Okay.
Yes, you may.
Sign my name. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Beth Payne, and I am the administration director for a community-based nonprofit, basically representing on behalf of the board of directors for Economic Growth Corporation and the Development Association Rock Island. Between all of our organizations, we own and manage over 40 commercial spaces downtown Rock Island, and in addition to that, manage over 200 residential properties downtown, whether they're owner-occupied or rental. And I'm speaking to you just for consideration, just a little bit of a larger picture when it comes to their facility. I, too, as well, appreciate your investment in our downtown community, and it helped address our 20-year plan of having a grocery store, and at the same time you guys were opening, we helped open an organic grocery store. So it helps those people who always wanted to buy pop and Doritos as well as buying affordable organic food. So we were very excited on behalf of our residents that live downtown. We signed on behalf of your liquor license as it was proposed, and we expected it to be followed. And I guess I side with the mayor's comments on behalf of the fact that there's a lot of residents that live downtown, and when the opening of your business came, we came multiple times. I never met you guys as owners, but I did meet your employees. And we're very excited to have you downtown, but it is a contributing factor to the overall issues that are going on downtown. And as responsible business owners, I hope that you would consider a larger plan that you could present to the council, perhaps, in consideration of what they are considering tonight. I myself can say that it's a strain to the city services that we have. We appreciate the jobs that you've created. We appreciate the offerings that you have for our residents. I, too, frequent your space. But I do think that there is a larger picture that you have to consider. The fact that you feel like the single-serve alcohol is the only way that your business can survive, I find I would like to challenge that comment, just because there are so many residents who come downtown who have asked for basic goods to be offered, which they can buy at your place. I don't believe there's any partnership that we have not considered in the future that we could work on today as a way to help market the other offerings that you have besides the single-serve alcohol. Just because the residents that we have called us and complained about how they don't feel safe walking down the plaza because of the people that are loitering around with single-serve alcohol. We represent businesses downtown as well that we feel it's our duty to go ahead and just for tonight just to voice our concerns about that and hope that we can come to a resolution on this.
I think it's a huge opportunity for some good faith effort on both sides to come together to say, okay, so then what will we commit that we will frequent your store so you won't have to rely on this for income? And I think I'm not ready to impose any type of changes until we have the neighbors even sitting down for a meeting to discuss these things with the owners, so we're on the same page. It's one thing to say neighbors call and complain, but it's another thing have they come to even talk to you about it, or have we pulled people together, or are we just going to end the discussion and close it down?
We have come to the space and spoke with the people that work there, not necessarily directly to the ownership just because of the next step here, but to answer that question.
Again, city staff has gone and addressed our concerns and said, please do something about this.
Okay.
I appreciate your comments, Beth, especially about the big picture. I think all of us want to do what's best for Rock Island as a whole, and I certainly appreciate the people who open up businesses downtown, all kinds of businesses, and this grocery store. I don't believe single-serve alcohol is in the best interest of the city of Rock Island, not just there, but anywhere in the city, although it exists. So I think there's room for some improvement and some negotiation, but I'm ready to support the motion.
Call the question.
I assume we had the motion read. I could go long ago now.
I'd made the motion.
Okay, okay. You got it, Linda? Okay.
Yep.
All right, roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
No.
Parker?
Aye.
Geenan?
No.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargattis?
Yes.
Motion carries 3-2.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have to come
Four.
Oh, do you? Okay, motion.
To send it to the attorney. Right.
The motion would fail.
Motion failed.
It's dead.
Well, it's not really dead. It can still be brought to
in a year.
the attorney, right?
No.
In a year.
Not for a year? Okay.
I'm not certain of a year requirement on that. I think you can't bring the rules prohibit bringing the exact same motion, but there are.
Oh, I think that was our former attorney had a year.
That could be. He's now a judge, so maybe what he
Yeah,
says
you better be careful.
Could you explain to everybody why the motion failed?
Because
we need a majority of, we need a majority of, a simple majority of the 7 council members.
Agreed to.
Be 4 votes generally to pass.
Got it.
If you're suspending the rules, you have to have 5.
Who suspended the rules?
The guy who hates suspending the rules.
All right, we are moving on.
Report from the General Administration Department recommending no more than 21 establishments in the city of Rock Island be issued video gaming licenses.
Move to approve the request as recommended and authorize the city attorney to draft the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
How did we come up with the number 21?
So the number, we just needed to get a number so we could bring it to you, some kind of recommendation. So that is the ones that already have a license or are actively in the pipeline have already started the application process.
And that number's 21 right now?
That number is 21. So
Be no more.
if there's a
we pass.
if there's a business right now that wanted to come in tomorrow, then they're not in the pipeline.
Right.
So if there's an existing bar or restaurant that's been in business 25 years and all of a sudden they want to add something, they wouldn't be able to. So this would just cover everyone that has one now, which I think is 17. 18, and there's 3 in the pipeline that you've already approved previously.
But it creates a waiting list. They could have one. It's
They
just
could have a
waits out.
waiting list, and then when someone dropped out, or the number could be set at something other than 21. That we just picked 21 because that stops it where it is now, or the ones that are in the pipeline.
And what was the rationale for limiting them, period?
I'm sorry.
No, to protect the Zoomers.
I'm asking the city manager.
Proliferation.
So we had a study session on it, and the council was leaning that way in a positive way, that they wanted a limitation. You were discussing the number, and someone said, well, what does the public think about it? So it was one of the first poll call questions we asked, and 86% of the 150 responders or so responded that they were in favor of a limitation. And I sent that information to all of you, so I'm sure you read it.
Mm-hmm. I got the information. I
Yeah.
just wondered what the rationale was. The Polco respondents didn't supply rationale, I don't think, did they?
I sent you all their comments. A lot of them did, and basically with the ones that supported it, while they understood the free enterprise, it was the image of the city really that they felt it was. And I think that's what, when we had the study session, I think that's what the alderman said. But it really came forward because during the study session, the council was leaning that way and wanted some more information. So if the council had shot it down at the study session, then we wouldn't have brought it forward.
Well, I remember the broader discussion included other types of businesses like car dealership, used car dealerships and other things. So we seem to be bouncing back and forth between, well, if it's a legal business, why should we restrict it, to, well, if it's bad for our image, we should restrict it with. Maybe that's a good thing. I'm just kind of questioning how we came to, I know how we came to 21. It was just a simple math. I don't know. I'm torn.
We brought multiple things forward at that study session. One was used cars. The council did not support that. The two that were supported were the video gaming and the short-term lending institutions. That's a little more complicated because currently we don't license those. So first we would have to change our licensing to be able to license them, to be able to limit them, because right now we don't even know when one's opening.
And what if the council had a change of heart a few years from now? Could they amend this or change
Ordinance can be amended at any time, correct, Dave?
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
I think he had pawn shops in there too on that conversation.
We did, you're right, we did have pawn shops, and pawn shops were not something that we wanted to pursue at this time.
If there's no further discussion, we'll do roll call.
Alderman Telenier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargattis?
Yes.
Motion.
Haven't received any complaints about video gaming, gentlemen.
Motion carried 5-0.
Item 33.
Report from the Police Department regarding a request by Officer Dustin Miles for the purchase of disabled canine Alex for $1 and a kennel for $100.
Motion to approve the request is recommended.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Telenier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargattis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
And kudos to Officer Dustin Miles.
Yep.
Real good price.
Under his wings, that's great.
Yep.
Item 34.
Report from the Community Economic Development Department regarding a request from Bill Gordon on behalf of Gordon Enterprises LTD to apply for a special use permit to operate two separate structures that would both be used as interior self-storage facilities at 2206 5th Street.
Motion to allow the application of the special use permit as recommended.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion?
Is that your word, Virgil?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Telenier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargattis?
Yes.
35.
Report from the Community Economic Development Department regarding the proposed sale of the city-owned property at 1316 10th Street to the adjacent property owner.
Motion to offer to sell the property as recommended and authorize the city staff to negotiate a sale price with the applicant and prepare a purchase agreement for the future city council action.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion?
Thank you. We should do that as often as we can, and
We're going to do a whole bunch more of them.
yep. No, it is. It's a good idea.
Hopefully. That's
It
the
is.
reason
It
they tore
is.
down.
And we've done it in the past, but it just needs, yeah. And it's perfect. Great. Thanks.
Let's vote.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Telenier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan? Mayberry?
Aye.
Spargattis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Point of order. Can we make a motion to run all of these as a consent agenda?
I believe that would be appropriate.
Yes.
All right. May I interrupt?
You may.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to, I don't know the proper nomenclature here, but to basically include agenda items, where were we at?
36.
Okay, agenda items 36, 37, 38, and 39 as a consent agenda?
Yes.
Second.
They all be considered at the same time, yes?
Yes.
Move to second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Now, do we need a roll call on that?
Yes, we'll need a roll call vote because it is transfer of
Yeah.
real estate.
Yep. All right. Do we need a motion?
Yes.
Please. On that consent?
It should be read.
You're going to have to read the addresses.
Okay.
Could I just make a motion to offer to sell 1716 5th Street, 2100 1st Street, 1217 9th Avenue, and 1014 6th Avenue, as recommended, and authorize city staff to negotiate a sale price with the applicant and prepare a purchase agreement for future city council action.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion?
Ready to go, people.
Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Keenan?
Aye.
Clark? Sorry. Mayberry?
Thank you. Aye.
Spaghettis?
Yes.
I still had him on my list, sorry. 5-0.
All right. And I got to make sure I catch up here. 40. Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Okay. Report from the Traffic Engineering Committee regarding a request from Friendship Manor for the installation of the no parking signs on the south side of 21st Avenue from 12th Street to 75 feet east of the Villas driveway on the 21st Avenue Hill. Action on this item was postponed from the August 8th and 22nd City Council meetings.
Move to approve the request as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker? Aye. Keenan?
Aye.
Mayberry?
Aye.
Spaghettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item 41.
Report from the Mayor's Office recommending David Parker Sr. be appointed to the Planning Commission.
Motion to approve the appointment as recommended.
Second.
Moved to second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Quality Broadway resident right there.
Yep. Item 42. Other business. Anything the council would like to bring up, speak?
Scared everyone away.
There's nobody signed up. All I can say is, we got Dunkin' Donuts. 12:45 today.
When do we eat?
Yeah, that's exactly. I thought about getting some, but ribbon cutting to happen in the future, but another good business.
It is.
Now, how late are they open?
I don't know their hours.
Might be 9.
Midnight.
Not sure about the hours.
Midnight, you wish.
People get, that's great.
Might want something later.
Yeah.
All right.
Black coffee.
All right. So we have item 43.
Executive session. 5 ILCS 120, Section 2C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives. 5 ILCS 120, Section 2C11, litigation when an action against affecting or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the findings shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. And 5 ILCS 120, Section 2C21, discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under this act, whether for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by Section 2.06.
Motion to go into executive session for the exception cited.
Second.
Move to second. Any discussion on that? Roll call.
Alderman Talanier?
Yes.
Parker?
Aye.
Geenan? Aye. Mayberry?
Aye.
Spaghettis?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Need a motion? Nope, we don't. Okay.